They thought I wouldn't notice. They thought I'd just smile politely, clap with the rest of the office, and keep grinding away like a loyal little machine. But when the announcement came over the loudspeakers, "Congratulations to Daniel for his well-deserved promotion," I felt something inside me snap. It wasn't just disappointment. No, disappointment is mild. This was rage, betrayal, and disbelief all at once. The kind of moment where your stomach drops, your palms sweat, and your mind starts racing faster than you can control. Daniel, my colleague, my so-called teammate, the man who sat 2 desks away, who used to lean over my shoulder asking for help on client presentations. The man who, not too long ago, couldn't even close a simple account without asking me what to say. That same Daniel was now my new manager. The office erupted in claps and cheers, the fake kind of celebration you see when everyone's just trying to impress the boss. I sat frozen in my chair, staring at the floor, my jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth might crack. All I could think was, how? I had been the one pulling all-nighters, cleaning up everyone else's mess, making sure clients didn't walk away when deadlines were missed. My name might not have been on the company's front door, but everyone knew who kept the business alive. It was me, always me. But when the decision came down, none of that mattered. Daniel got the glory, and the worst part, everyone knew why. It wasn't a mystery. Daniel didn't earn that promotion. He played for it. He laughed at the boss's bad jokes, joined him on weekend golf trips, and made sure to be the loudest voice in every meeting, even when he had nothing useful to say. He didn't need to be good at the work. He just needed to be good at politics. Meanwhile, I was too busy working. Too busy saving deals, writing reports, and making sure the numbers looked good on paper. Too busy to play their little game. When the announcement ended, the office slowly went back to work, but I couldn't focus. The clapping still echoed in my ears, every sound like a hammer to my chest. My hands shook, not from sadness, but from pure white-hot anger. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. It comes from the people closest to you. The people you never expected to stab you in the back. I had trained Daniel. I had shown him the ropes. And now he had climbed right over me to take the prize I had earned. I thought about the late nights, when I was the last one in the office, staring at glowing spreadsheets while the cleaning staff vacuumed around me. I thought about the weekends I skipped family gatherings to finish proposals. The countless times I sacrificed sleep, health, and peace of mind. All of it for what? To be replaced by someone who never truly carried the weight? I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk into the boss's office and demand an explanation. But I knew what I would hear. The usual empty words. It was a tough decision. Daniel has leadership qualities. We see you as a valuable team member too. Lies dressed up as compliments. So I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't even congratulate Daniel like the others did. Instead, I sat at my desk in silence, letting the anger build. Letting it settle deep inside me like coal waiting to ignite. And in that silence, I made a decision. If they thought I would just keep working like nothing happened, they were wrong. If they thought I'd accept being overlooked, they were blind. They had forgotten one simple truth. I wasn't just another employee. I was the one who built their success brick by brick, client by client. And if they didn't value me, if they thought I was disposable, then I would show them what it really meant to lose me. That day, as Daniel strutted around shaking hands and thanking people for their fake congratulations, I sat at my desk with a calm expression. But inside, my plan had already begun. The fire had been lit, and there was no turning back. They gave him the promotion. Fine. But they had just made the biggest mistake of their careers. Because soon enough, they would learn exactly what it meant to underestimate me. When the rage finally settled into something colder, something sharper, I began to think clearly. I realized one truth that the executives at the top seemed to have forgotten. The real strength of the company didn't come from leadership meetings, endless policies, or fancy glass-walled offices. No. The power was in the clients. The clients were everything. They were the reason the lights stayed on, the reason the executives cashed their fat bonuses, the reason Daniel even had a job to be promoted into. And here was the delicious irony. Most of those clients weren't loyal to the company. They were loyal to me. I had been the one who brought them in, who nurtured those relationships, who stayed up at midnight answering frantic emails. I was the one who knew their kids' names, who remembered birthdays, who could calm them down when a project went off the rails. When they called, they didn't even bother going through the receptionist or Daniel. They called me directly. If I hadn't been there, half of them would have left years ago, and that was when the seed of an idea took root. If they wouldn't give me the promotion I had earned, then I'd make myself impossible to ignore. I wouldn't scream or complain or beg for recognition. No, I'd do something far smarter. I would quietly, patiently, and surgically take away the one thing the company couldn't live without: its clients. I started small, careful not to attract attention. After all, revenge isn't about rushing. It's about patience. It's about making sure every move is so subtle that no one realizes what's happening until it's far too late. So I reached out to my biggest accounts, not with anything suspicious, no, just casual check-ins. Calls in the evenings to ask how their projects were going, friendly emails to see how their families were doing. On the surface, nothing unusual. But beneath those words, I was laying the groundwork. Because while Daniel was busy polishing his new manager title and practicing his fake leadership smile, I was doing what he never bothered to do: listening. Truly listening. I began to plant seeds in those conversations, slipping in little truths like whispers in the wind. Sometimes I feel like this. Company doesn't appreciate the clients the way they should. You deserve more attention than you're getting right now. I've always thought your account deserved priority, but leadership doesn't always see things the same way. I wasn't lying. I was just holding up a mirror to what the clients already felt. And the reaction? Oh, it was instant. They sighed, they complained, they admitted their frustration. I could hear the weariness in their voices, the cracks in their loyalty. They had been thinking the same thing all along. They just needed someone to confirm it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I was working on my escape plan. I knew I couldn't just walk out one day and expect the clients to follow without preparation. I needed to build something solid, something that looked professional, something that would prove I wasn't just being impulsive. So I began researching. Late nights at home, I scoured through legal documents, studying the non-compete clauses buried in my contract. I wanted to know exactly what lines I could cross and what lines I needed to carefully dance around. If I was going to take the clients, I needed to do it cleanly. Then came the business plan. Discreet, quiet, nothing that could be traced back to me at first. A simple outline of services, costs, and strategies. It wasn't about building an empire overnight. It was about creating a lean, sharp alternative that could serve the clients better than Daniel's bloated, careless team ever could. But no plan succeeds alone. I knew I'd need allies. So I reached out to a few trusted colleagues, the ones who, like me, had been overlooked, underpaid, and treated as background noise, while less capable people climbed the ladder. I didn't say too much at first, just small comments. Do you ever feel like this company doesn't see your worth? What if we had the chance to do things differently? Their eyes lit up. They were tired too. They wanted out. And slowly, piece by piece, my plan came together. While Daniel enjoyed the spotlight, I was building something in the shadows. While he celebrated his promotion, I was sharpening the very knife that would cut him down. By the time the first client openly told me, "If you ever start something of your own, we'll follow you," I knew it was no longer just an idea. It was a mission. If the company didn't value me, I'd build something of my own. And this time, I wouldn't just be an employee. I'd be the one in control. It didn't take long for the cracks to appear in Daniel's so-called leadership. At first, everything looked polished. He strutted around the office with his new title, wearing that smug grin, handing out shallow pep talks as if he suddenly understood what it meant to lead. But once the excitement of his promotion faded, reality set in, and reality was merciless. Daniel was good at appearances. He could smile in meetings, nod at the right times, and repeat corporate buzzwords until everyone's eyes glazed over. But when it came to the real work, the late-night client calls, the impossible deadlines, the unexpected problems, he was hopeless. Deadlines started slipping. Small ones at first, but then bigger ones. Emails went unanswered for days. Promises made in meetings weren't delivered on. And the clients noticed. Clients always notice. Soon my phone started ringing again. Not with congratulations, not with casual check-ins, but with frustration. Why hasn't Daniel returned my call? Your team promised this report last week. What's going on? I thought you guys valued us. I listened. That was my weapon, silence and empathy. While Daniel stumbled over excuses, I became the safe place where the clients could vent. I didn't badmouth him. I didn't need to. I just listened, sympathized, and said the right words at the right time. Maybe it's time you considered who's really looking out for you. That single sentence was more powerful than any sales pitch. It didn't accuse, it didn't demand, it simply planted the truth. And the truth was undeniable. I had always been the one looking out for them, not Daniel, not the company. The frustration grew like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger until it couldn't be stopped. I watched from the shadows as Daniel tried to juggle the chaos. He held meeting after meeting, giving fake motivational speeches, blaming communication breakdowns, and even scolding the staff for not being proactive enough. But the more he talked, the more clients slipped through his fingers. Then came the moment of truth, the moment that changed everything. One of the company's biggest clients, the kind of client whose contract alone paid half the salaries in the office, finally had enough. Their CEO called me directly, his voice tight with anger. "I don't know what's going on over there," he said, "Bonois, but we're tired of being ignored. If you ever start something of your own, we'll follow you. No hesitation." That single sentence was the spark that lit the fire. In that moment, I knew the time had come. All the preparation, all the quiet planning, all the seeds I had planted, it was time to act. Within weeks, I launched my own firm. It wasn't big or flashy. No skyscraper office, no marble floors. Just a small, sharp team of loyal colleagues who had been waiting for this chance as eagerly as I had. And just like I predicted, the clients followed. It started with one. That massive client who had promised me their loyalty. They shifted their contract to my firm without a second thought. Watching the company scramble to explain the loss was almost poetic. Then came another, and another. The floodgates had opened. Clients who had once felt trapped in endless contracts suddenly realized they had an option. Me. One by one, they moved their accounts, shifted their projects, transferred their trust. What had once been the company's greatest strength was now bleeding away, and the knife was in my hand. The best part? I didn't need to twist it. I just let it cut naturally, because Daniel's incompetence did most of the work for me. In the office I left behind, chaos reigned. Daniel tried everything to stop the bleeding. Discounted rates, desperate calls, even fake promises of renewed commitment, but the clients weren't buying it anymore. They had already tasted what real loyalty felt like, and they weren't going back. I'll never forget the look on Daniel's face the last time I saw him in person. We crossed paths at a networking event. His suit looked sharper, but his eyes, they were sunken, desperate, full of the weight of failure. He tried to smile at me, but it came out crooked, strained. Because he knew. He knew I had been the one pulling the strings all along. And the irony? I never once raised my voice. I never once begged for recognition. All I did was prove quietly and consistently what they had refused to see. The clients weren't loyal to the company. They were loyal to me. By the time the dust settled, Daniel was drowning in a sinking ship, and I was captaining my own vessel, small but unstoppable, fueled by the very clients that once kept their empire alive. The tables hadn't just turned. They had flipped completely. The day it all came crashing down was a Monday morning. Mondays always carry a certain heaviness, but that one was different. I remember it vividly. The chill in the air, the quiet hum of my new office, the satisfaction of sipping coffee while reviewing fresh contracts from clients who had just joined my firm. That's when my phone rang. The name on the screen almost made me laugh. Daniel. For a moment I considered ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. I picked up. His voice shook, fragile and desperate, so different from the confident, arrogant tone he once carried. "Why are the clients leaving?" "What did you do?" I could almost see him on the other end, sweating in his overpriced suit, pacing his office, clutching his phone as if it were a lifeline. He wasn't calling me as a manager to a former employee. He was calling me as a drowning man, grasping at anything that might keep him afloat. And in that moment I realized I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to gloat. The victory was already mine, so I simply smiled and gave him the truth he could never admit to himself. I gave them what you never could: attention, respect, and loyalty. There was silence on the line, not the comfortable kind, but the heavy, suffocating silence of someone who knows the fight is already over. Then, without another word, he hung up. That single call was more satisfying than any promotion, any corner office, any empty title could ever be. It wasn't just proof that I had won, it was proof that he knew it too. Within months, the company that had overlooked me was in freefall. Their biggest accounts were gone, their revenue shrinking faster than they could patch the holes. Layoffs started. The proud, gleaming empire that once boasted about growth and dominance was now scrambling just to keep the lights on. Meanwhile, my firm was thriving. What started as a small, lean operation quickly grew into something formidable. The very clients that once made Daniel look successful were now fueling my rise. With every contract signed, with every new deal secured, I felt the scales of justice tipping back where they belonged. But the sweetest part wasn't just financial. No, the real victory was respect. For years, I had been the overlooked worker in the shadows, the one who stayed late, fixed everyone's mistakes, and got none of the recognition. But now I was the leader, the one clients trusted, the one colleagues followed willingly, not because they had to, but because they believed in me. And there was something intoxicating about walking into my new office every morning. Not an office given to me by someone else, but one I had built from the ground up. Every desk, every file, every employee represented freedom, my freedom. Occasionally I'd hear whispers about Daniel, how his team was shrinking, how his confidence had shattered, how he'd gone from being the rising star of the company to the man who oversaw its downfall. Sometimes people would ask if I felt guilty, if I regretted what I'd done. My answer was always the same. Regret? Oh, how could I regret showing people the truth? They thought Daniel was a leader. He wasn't. They thought the company was unshakable. It wasn't. They thought I was disposable. I wasn't. In fact, all I did was reveal what was already there. The clients had been loyal to me from the beginning. The company's failure wasn't my betrayal. It was their blindness. So when people ask me, if you could go back, would you do it differently? I smile because I know the truth. They gave him the promotion. They handed him the title, the corner office, the fake applause. But I took something far more valuable. I took the clients they needed most. And in the end, that was worth more than any title they could ever dangle in front of me. Because titles fade, offices can be taken away, but respect, loyalty, power you build with your own hands, that lasts forever.